Hello, fam. Hello, fam. Hello, fam. Hello. It's Leva Styles helping you be the best version of you. And today I wanted to circle back and talk about something that I think does not get enough conversation, and that is insulin resistance. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's something that I believe I was struggling with, and it impacted my ability to lose weight. And so I don't really think our culture really understands how important it is to know what insulin resistance does and how to manage that. So I'm going to start off by telling you some of the negative impacts of insulin resistance. And I do have them written down here, so I'm just going to read from them. Type 2 diabetes. Most people probably know that because it's a direct impact of sugar. Challenges with sugar. Pretty much view it as a sugar overdose to the body, which I'll get into when I describe it. Cardiovascular issues. High blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol levels, accumulation of plaque in the arteries. So all these different heart issues. Obesity. As I mentioned, it was something that I could not figure out why I could not get through a certain threshold when it was tied to or when thinking about my weight. And it, I believe, has to do with insulin resistance. It makes it more difficult to lose weight because it has impact on your metabolic system. PCOS. PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome, and it has to do with a significant hormone imbalance in women. But they say that it is common that insulin resistance can impact that, and it often has results in difficulties with fertility for women. Another point, fatty liver disease. The pancreas is what produces insulin, and the pancreas sits right along the liver. And it's interesting because it says this fatty liver disease is a non-alcoholic. So it doesn't even have to do, like, yes, you can get liver disease from alcohol, but this is just from not eating right and consuming different types of sugar, too much sugar, I should say. Increased inflammation if you have challenges with your joints. Certain cancers can be the offshoot of insulin resistance, such as breast and pancreatic cancers. Neurological issues, and this one stood out to me because I hadn't really heard of this. Maybe you guys had, but type 3 diabetes, which they are linking that to Alzheimer's disease. So they're saying that because insulin resistance can have an impact on brain health, there is a possible connection between insulin resistance and cognitive decline, like it really impacting your brain. We know that alcohol can negatively impact your brain, but insulin resistance, which is tied more to sugar, can do this as well. And then complications during pregnancy, it can result in diabetes during pregnancy, as well as affecting the mother and the developing fetus. All these different challenges and negative impacts when it comes to insulin resistance. So now that I've got your attention on kind of what it does, let's talk about a little bit more what it is. And the best way I can explain it is it's like a car. View your body as being a car or a vehicle. And insulin, this hormone that is created by the pancreas, is the key to unlock that car. Insulin is the hormone that allows glucose or sugar to get into your cells. Why is it important for this glucose or this sugar to get into your cells? Because your body needs it for energy. Now, your body has multiple sources of fuel when we eat: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And believe it or not, carbohydrates isn't the only sugar. Protein and fats also convert to sugar. But when your body processes or has too much sugar, it cannot process or put all that sugar into the cells like it should. And so it can't use it for energy. You're not going to be able to metabolize the way you need to. And so view that that car as the door getting rusty sometimes, your body getting out of whack, and it being hard to use that key to open that door, that rusted car door. So that's one way of looking at insulin. Now, what is it you can do about it? The first thing you want to do is understand if you are insulin resistant. That's numero uno. Understand if you are insulin resistant. Dr. Eric Berg indicates that you would want to try something called a HOMA-IR test. And I have here that the HOMA-IR test is a homeostatic model assessment for insulin resistance. So it's not the A1C test. A lot of times we think it's the A1C test. The A1C test evaluates your blood sugar over like an average of several months. The homeostatic IR test is showing what your fasting blood glucose and your fasting insulin levels are. So when you're in a fasted state, how much insulin are you producing? What's your level? And theoretically, here's what it should be. It should range somewhere, well, let me give you the range of insulin, 2.6 to 24.9. Ideally, you want to be below, I think it's 5. I'll come back and I'll put it in the notes, but you want to be kind of 5.0 and less. Mine was 4.9, so I still believe I have something to work on. But I will get you the exact number in terms of what the target is. But having said that, even with what the target is, remember that that is based on the standard American diet. So what all the average humans in America are eating. So whatever I put in the link that the target range is for your insulin levels, remember that that is based on the poor diet that we have here in America. So you might want to target lower than that. When you're talking about hemoglobin A1C, that's a different range. So if you were to pull out your results from your last biometrics, your assessment with your doctor, that range may be 4% and 5.6%. That is what they consider a healthy range for A1C. Anything beyond 5.6% is pre-diabetic. Again, though, that is a different, it's not really measuring how you are processing insulin. It's more just what your range is in terms of glucose levels, all right? So I want you to focus on the next time you get to the doctor, asking them for a insulin test. So when I went, they didn't have this HOMA-IR, but she did have an insulin test, a fasting test. So you have to be fasting when you go in there. And so maybe it's, different things. Another one they say is called an oral glucose tolerance test. Again, you need to be fasting for a period of time. And then sometimes they make you drink this glucose solution and figure out what your numbers are there. So first find out if you're insulin resistant. The next time you go to the doctor, have them take that test. I hear from some other influencers in this space that doctors don't always do this. I got this from my OBGYN, so I don't know that it's going to really be a problem if you just go to your regular practitioner. But if it is, don't stop. Keep searching to figure out how you can get that test so that you know offhand if you're even insulin resistant to begin with. The good thing about it is something you can do about it. The bad part about it, just don't let it continue. Don't think I am diabetic or I have inflammation issues or I have to take all this medication and there's nothing I can do about it. There are things you can do, but the first step begins with awareness and understanding what it is, then if you have it, and now as I'll tell you certain things you can do about it. Well, in some cases, there may be challenges because genetically you may have some levels of insulin resistance. So if your family has a history of type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, you may be at higher risk. But I don't want you to use that as an excuse and think, oh, I'm just destined to have this. My dad has diabetes. My dad had a stroke. My dad had heart attack issues, that doesn't mean that that's the path for me. Okay. So do not use that as an excuse. Obesity. Obesity, you can help if you start to eat the right foods. And that links with another bullet they have, unhealthy diet. So if you're eating all these high sugary foods, and let me just talk about sugar again, because I think people think that it's just about the sweets, like it's just about the cakes, cookies, and pies. No, as I've mentioned multiple times, look at the ingredients. And the best way to find out, the quickest way, is to look at the ingredients and see if it says total added sugars. If it says, I don't care if it says less than 1 gram. You don't want it, put it back on the shelf. That's number one. If you want to get extra with it, then it is look at the ingredients and look to see if it says things like citric acid, maltose, dextrose. There are other things that they are putting in as substitute, erythritol. They're using as sugar substitutes that they can hide. And then you don't think that it has sugar because they're claiming it's sugar-free and it's not. The standard American diet allows somewhere around 80 grams of sugar a day, anywhere from 31 to 80 grams of sugar a day. That does not mean that that's okay for what you should consume. When I did the 21-day sugar fast, they suggested being 25 grams and lower when it comes to sugar. Okay, so that means everything. I still eat fruit. I still eat vegetables. There might be some things I have sugar, but the goal is to be 25 grams and lower. So really make sure you're focused on that. And then you will start to see improvements in your health. I was able to get my blood pressure down. There's different things that you could do. So don't leave it up to genetics. Don't just think that because my dad has diabetes that I'm going to naturally be insulin resistant. No, don't just leave it up to, okay, I've cut out rice and I've cut out. You want to look at the sugars that are in all the foods. Yes, a low carb diet will help you. And even though I'm not heavy keto, that is a great way to get started, is with a keto diet. Here's the other thing, physical activity. Please move, just move. If you are not working out, at least work to get in 10,000 steps per day. I work to get in about 8 to 10,000 steps per day just by walking around in the neighborhood. And another way you can work on improving is getting up every 60 to 90 minutes. If you're sedentary at your desk like I am, have some kind of alarm or use your iWatch to remind you to get up and move. They say that being fidgety, you might have seen this meme where they say that being fidgety can help people with burning calories. And then they clip to this guy who's shaking his knees, just sitting in the chair. He's just jumping his leg up and down. So that's one thing. I have a standing desk in my office now so that I'm not always sitting at my laptop. If you are sedentary at work, you work from home, you have to be cognizant of it. You'll just be sitting still and you'll not realize how important it is just to get moving. So walk. It doesn't have to be jogging. It doesn't have to be running, but just get those walks in. All right. So those are a few things you can do. Some other things that you can do to help with insulin sensitivity: lower your stress levels. Another one of the hormones that we deal with is cortisol, and cortisol can negatively impact, stress can elevate our cortisol levels, which also interferes with insulin resistance. Lack of sleep. Prioritize your sleep. Get in the amount of hours that you feel refreshed. For some people that may be 6, other people that could be 9. Figure out what it is for sleep. Watch your medications as well. Some medications can induce insulin resistance as a side effect. Sometimes you can't control that depending on what it is you take. But if you get your diet in check, you may notice that you can come off of some of those medications and not have to worry about it. those are the tips that I have for you regarding insulin resistance. I hope you have a better understanding of what insulin resistance is. Insulin resistance is not insulin resistance, but insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas that allows glucose/sugar to get into your cells and converts it into energy so that our body can use it. When you are insulin sensitive, it's working well. When you're insulin resistant, it's not working and your body's not working well. And all these negative things are happening. Your body's out of whack. So please be aware of what it is. Look into it to see if you have it. I'm Leva Styles, helping you be the best version of you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone you think could use it, and subscribe.